To this story now, the Department of Home Affairs, National Treasury, Border Management Authority and the South African Revenue Service, as well as the Development Bank of South Africa and private entities, Bowmans, Ernst and Young also are holding a joint press conference this morning to explain the request for proposals for the development of the 6 busiest land ports of entry. These requests for proposals appeared in the Sunday newspapers this week. Let's take you there live now, where Home Affairs Minister Aaron Motsoaledi on the podium.
As the legitimate movement of people. When I delivered my budget speech in May this year, on the 17th, I announced my gratitude at the approval granted by the Finance Minister, Mr. Kodongwana, for the Department of Home Affairs and the Border Management Authority to issue requests for proposals to the market for the redesigning and redevelopment of our top 6 busiest land port of entry. If there is one thing you need to take away from this briefing as the media, it is that the South African government is committed to put the latest infrastructure and relevant technology in its effort to modernize and upgrade our ports to be on par with the current global best practices on border management. To this end, the main objective is to make it easier for law-abiding people and companies to easily enter and exit South Africa through our borders, while the illicit movement of persons and goods is nipped in the bud, and pun is intended. It has taken a while for us to get to this point, but I would like to commend my team consisting of officials from the Border Management Authority, the Department of Home Affairs, the Presidency Infrastructure South Africa, National Treasury, South African Revenue Services, the Development Bank of South Africa's Infrastructure Fund, and transactional advisors Bowmans, Gilfillan, and Ernst and Young for their hard work in getting us to this point. And that's why we have called you to brief you. In fact, South Africa's ports of entry were designed during the apartheid era with the primary objective of tightening security whilst neglecting the effective facilitation of regional and international trade. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not an over-exaggeration to state that when you visit our land ports of entry between us, South Africa, and our SADC neighbors, the South African side of the border looks like an informal settlement, while the other side looks like Sandton. It's not an exaggeration. Those who have been at our borders will attest to this. Since the advent of democracy, there's been an exponential increase in the number of people moving between South Africa and the countries in the region. The volumes of regional and international trade has similarly increased. As a result, our land ports of entry are very congested, and that continues to stifle trade instead of enabling it. If you understand what I'm talking about, just take a visit to Lebombo border post between South Africa and Mozambique, where you will see trucks lining up for kilometers, bumper to bumper, for hours on end on the N4 corridor. This is because mining companies in Northwest, Limpopo, and Mpumalanga took a decision to use Maputo port for their exports, and no longer Richards Bay Harbor. Given our current narrow design of the port, this has led to congestion. The announcement we are making today will make sure that what is happening now will become history. I wish to remind you that South Africa has 72 ports of entry, of which 53 are land ports of entry, 11 are international airports, and 8 are seaports, all of which are now operated by the Border Management Authority, led by Dr. Masiapat. Of the 53 land ports of entry, we have now earmarked 6 of our largest and busiest by traffic volume for redevelopment in order to address the congestion. The outcome of the redevelopment of these ports of entry will be used as a blueprint in the long term for all other South Africa's land ports of entry. The primary intention is to ensure the realization of regional economic integration in the SADC region, while facilitating the realization of African Continental Free Trade Area. The 6 earmarked ports of entry are: 1, Beit Bridge between South Africa and Zimbabwe; 2, Lebombo between Mozambique and South Africa; 3, Maseru Bridge between Lesotho and South Africa; 4, Fixback between Lesotho and South Africa; 5, Kopfontein between South Africa and Botswana; and 6, Oshhoek between South Africa and Eswatini. The redevelopment of the ports will result in: 1, the efficient cross-border management of movement of people, goods, and services; 2, the improved administration of persons entering and leaving the Republic; 3, better regional economic integration and enhanced support for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area; 4, improved revenue collection and addressing leakages caused by the illegal movement of goods and illicit financial flows; 5, protecting local industry from harmful imports and exports; and 6, effective migration management, including capping illegal migration. The 6 ports of entry project will cover the full infrastructure development of each designated port of entry and the provision of required services to ensure a coherent and coordinated support of the institutional functions of all organs of state present in the port of entry, in order to ensure that the ongoing operations at each of the designated ports of entry are not interrupted. Construction will be undertaken in phases. During the construction, the project is expected to create in the order of 38,000 jobs in areas around the 6 designated ports of entry. The project is being undertaken on a public-private partnership, a PPP. The procurement process is therefore subject to the procedures set out in Treasury Regulation 16 for initiating, procuring, and concluding PPP projects. Treasury Regulation 16 specifically requests that a PPP project must be demonstrably affordable, result in value for money for government, and substantial technical, operation, and financial risks are transferred to the private sector contracting party. 4 national treasury approvals are prescribed by Treasury Regulation 16, 2 of which have so far been obtained by the project, allowing the Department of Home Affairs and the Border Management Authority to publish the request for proposals. The request for proposals, or commonly known as RFPs, for the 6 ports of entry projects were issued on Sunday, the 3rd of September 2023, that is 3 days ago, inviting interested parties to participate. The RFP is on the e-tender portal and other government websites, including the Department of Home Affairs website. The adverts were also placed in Sunday newspapers, as I said, on the 3rd of September 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, the call for requests for proposals is essentially looking for a partnership between the state and the private sector to inject cutting-edge infrastructure and technology in our ports. On the 5th of December 2020, the country saw a truck arriving at Lebombo border post between us and Mozambique, full of brooms to the brim, purporting to be transporting those brooms to Mozambique. When the brooms were removed as part of the inspection process, a brand new Ford Ranger was discovered on the bed of the truck. On further investigation, it was uncovered that the car was stolen in Sandton on the 30th of November 2020. This type of incidents may keep on happening on a regular basis because our method of managing movement of trucks through our borders is via sampling. Sampling whereby trucks are selected on the basis of a risk profile. This means that some trucks carrying illicit goods such as cigarettes, liquor, or even trafficked people can escape undetected. In our request for proposals, we are expecting the prospective partner company to come install latest technology such as gamma rays scanners, such that each truck can drive through them. Gamma ray technology can pick up anything from illicit cigarettes to liquor to paper money and human beings. Some ports in other jurisdictions are still using X-ray technology, which we regard as outdated. So, ladies and gentlemen, officials will unpack the request for proposals to bidders on the 27th of September 2020, followed by visits to the identified ports of entry. For now, I wish to end by inviting our private sector partners and government partners and partners in the parastatals for each of them to outline their role in this project. And I'm sure they've been introduced to you. There won't be any damage in them introducing themselves again and telling you exactly what they are here for and what is that which they are going to do in the project. Let's start at the end there. I think you must come here to complete the job. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Nel Grobbelaar. I'm an associate partner in Ernst & Young, Johannesburg, South Africa, leading the transaction advisory team. From a PPP perspective, indeed encouraged by the progress. Also echoing the words of the Minister this morning that we are inviting the private sector to participate. We've adopted an interface that we encourage interactions with the private sector. The procurement platform is activated. We've already seen activity in that platform, and really on behalf of the transaction advisory team, also mentioning Knight Easold and Bowman Gilfillan, all the success for the procurement phase of this project leading into financial year 2024. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Jim. Oh, you mean this? Good morning. I didn't realize I was told until at this point. My name is Jean Ravele. I'm from the South African Revenue Service. Our role in the project is that we are one of the two main stakeholders at these borders, together with the BMA, and we are responsible for facilitating trade, movement of cargo across the borders. So that's why I'm here and part of this team. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Mike Masia Pato, the Commissioner for the Border Management Authority. So our role is to receive when they have done the work. So effectively what that means is as the P partner, will effectively come to the ground and do the redesigning, the redevelopment. We had to give the specifications of our requirements as the Border Management Authority, and of course together with the other colleagues like the Revenue Authority or Services, as Jean had indicated. And of course we are then to be using the infrastructure ourselves once it is actually developed, and to that extent we should then be able to make sure that we facilitate better the movement of persons and goods in and out of the Republic. Thanks.
I am shorter, so I'll pull down the mic. I am Wandisile Mandlana, a partner at Bowman Gilfillan, part of the transaction advisor, where I am in particular focused in public law, but we've got other team of lawyers who are project finance lawyers. Thereby then our role in this overall project is to ensure that the project is bankable from a legal perspective and does deliver value for money to the country, and that it's procured in a manner that is transparent, competitive, cost efficient, fair and equitable. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Gillian Wilson from the National Treasury. Our task is basically to take the project through the different phases of PFMA approval and to ensure the project comply to the different regulations in the PFMA, and also to assist the department in developing an appropriate payment mechanism for the project. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chipiri Moedi, and I'm representing the Development Bank of Southern Africa, as well as DBSA, as well as the Infrastructure Fund. I think we've played multiple roles in the project. One of the initial roles that we played was to provide project preparation funding for the project to get it to where you see it being presented to the media today. We're also supporting the project sponsor DHA and BMA in terms of project management. We're also assisted them in getting the RFP approved from a financing perspective for P. And additionally, we'll also look at ensuring that the project essentially is bankable from a financing perspective. And if there is any refinancing required, we'll also be assisting the sponsors from that perspective. Thank you so much.
Infrastructure SA. Oh, by the way, do we leave anybody?
All right. Yes, that is everyone then. We're at that stage where we are taking in questions. I would invite you to raise your questions. Please indicate the publication or the organization you represent, and also the person to which you are directing your questions to. Thank you. Can I see by indication of hands if who wants to ask the first question? Okay, I see Katlejo. You may go ahead.
All right, good morning. My name is Katlejo Lodi from the SABC. I just wanted to find out about, in terms of the timelines for the project, when are you looking at just getting this process underway? And would we then see, disruptions, are you anticipating any disruptions to come through from this project that will get underway? Looking at the fact that these are the 6 busiest ports of entries where then business and trade is concerned. And also, just maybe to the Development Bank of South Africa to say, looking at ensuring that the project is bankable, what did you look into when the Home Affairs Department approached you? And project preparation funding, can you just expand on that? Do we have figures in terms of maybe what you had anticipated for the project to cost? Thank you.
All right, thanks. I take it that the first 2 questions are to the Minister?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other one are to the transaction advisors?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Do you have other questions? Peter?
Thank you so much. I'm not sure whether the panel can hear me, but how much will the redevelopment cost? And
I didn't hear where you come from. Kaya FM.
Okay. It's from Kaya FM, Minister. Okay. Yes. The second question will be
how much?
Yes. The second question will be when the projects are undergoing, are there possibilities that they might affect the ongoing processes at the borders? For example, sometimes we'll hear that, especially during December, that borders are under pressure. Ports of entry are receiving, so many travelers and like. So now, once we implement this project, Minister, have we looked at that as to how are we going to avoid that they add pressure on the movement of goods and people between all of these countries? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like just to check with Takalani if we've got any questions on the online platform.
Thank you, Sia. We do have a few questions from online.
How many?
I think there are 4.
Okay, perhaps let's start by allowing the panel to respond on the first question, and then we come to the online question. Thank you. All right.
Yes, I'm not going to answer the questions alone. The first one on the timelines for the project. Unfortunately, the timetable has been drawn. I don't have a copy here. I don't know whether... Yes, come and help, please. My copy is in the office.
To confirm on the timeline as per the RFP issued, we anticipate the bidders to respond by the 4th of March 2024. This will be followed by an adjudication process, ultimately seeking to conclude the PPP agreement and the related agreements in support of commercial close, and then ultimately financial close, tentatively at this juncture, Q4 2024. Financial close then, of course, would allow the private party to start with its construction works, and therefore, depending on the border post that will be constructed, a construction period to follow prior to the commencement of services once the works have been completed. So, indeed, from a financial close perspective, to reiterate, Q4 2024 as the commencement then of construction works following financial close. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The issue of disruptions of services I've already answered in my speech is going to be in phases. In other words, one part of the port will be busy. If you look at the design, for instance, the design is such that we're going to have one lane for trucks only and nothing else, which doesn't disturb all the other activities. Now, there are trucks passing through the border, so when you construct a new lane for them, you don't disturb what they are doing until that line is finalized. Then there will be another line for private cars and taxis, then pedestrians. So they will be built in phases. And the other thing which we didn't mention today, because it's not part of the project, but it will come later. It will be announced at its own time, is to the buildings and infrastructure that can accommodate people who will have to stay there at the borders on a full-time basis. The issue of bankable project, I think that question is to, madam, that's yours. Come and answer it. Whether the bank, what is that which you look at in financing when the DBSA say the project is bankable? That is above my pay grade. So.
Thank you, Minister. So I'll answer two questions. The question on the bankability, and I think there was also a question with regards to the project preparation funding. I think so. You can hear me, right? Yeah, thanks. So in terms of bankability, from a financing perspective, from a funder's perspective, was to walk through the journey and commenting on the RFP documents, the financial model that was presented, to ensure that when that project goes out to the market, the funders will be able to utilize it for their purposes. And as we continue into the RFP, is to walk the journey from a financing perspective with the department, ensuring that the DBSA will also be part of the observing team and the observation of the bid evaluations, and ensuring that at the end of the day, once the project has closed and the lenders and the bidders have returned their bids, the state gets value for money in terms of what they're obtaining from a project perspective versus the funding that we have to commit as the state. Thanks. So in terms of project preparation, I think through the some of the funds managed by the DBSA, this project was allocated about $1 million from the SADC project preparation fund for project preparation activities, which are all the enabling activities, some of which were used to pay the consultant to develop the project where it is. Some of the specialist studies that are required in terms of feasibilities, such as the economic studies that were required by the National Treasury, the traffic modeling studies, some work on the land, as well as the bulk infrastructure. Those are the activities that the funding is supporting. And I think from that funding so far, we've used more than 5 million. There's work that continues until you've reached financial close. There's always a preparatory work that goes behind the scenes to get the project to financial close and to be implemented. So we will continue to support that work. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the question we have all been waiting for, Kaya FM. How much? The answer is billions. I can't tell you more than that, because this is a request for proposals. We will know the amount when private sector have responded. In other words, you give them the design and what they need to be done. They are the ones who must tell us that for me to do this is how much it's going to cost. So you can't tell them it's an examination. You can't give them the answers. You want the answers from them. So all I can tell you is that it's going to be a multi-billion rand project. The question of whether the borders will be put under pressure, I think we have already answered that one also during the construction, because we said it's going to be done in phases. We're not going to close a border and start constructing it. normal movement will be going on while construction is still going on. I think these are all the questions here. Yes.